Hello there everyone, I hope you are well. It is Toby from TIJ Music and welcome to a brand new video. Today it is time for something a little bit different and something I was nominated on Facebook to do a few days ago, but I thought it would really be nice to talk about it on here as well. And this was basically an album challenge. It was a challenge that was set to me to name 10 albums that have inspired my music choice. So not a definitive top 10 albums choice, but a list of 10 albums that have inspired me to like the music that I like today. So that might not be the best album, I think, by the artists that are mentioned here. I've got 9 artists that I'm going to mention here. Now, some of these albums are albums that I genuinely think are some of the best of all time. Some of them aren't, but they are albums that have allowed me and inspired me to have the music taste that I have done today. So I've picked 10 albums. I've got 8 of them on a physical copy. I've got 6 of them on vinyl LP, 2 of them on CD, and unfortunately 2 of them I haven't got. But I've got a bit of memorabilia for the one, and unfortunately for the other one I haven't got anything at all. But I'm going to talk about all 10 of these albums. I've held off for a few days about doing this because I was having 2 of these come, the vinyls that is of the 2 of these, come in the post today. So I was waiting a few days to do this, but anybody who wants to do this on the back of this, any content creator, feel free to do a video and obviously mention my name. You don't have to because it's not my idea, but it would be great if you'd mention my name if you did this, if you've heard here first. And anybody else who is not a content creator but simply a viewer, leave your 10 albums down in the comments. I really look forward to reading them because I think that everyone's albums list are going to be so different. I mean, I've got some really varying albums in here, some really varied stuff. And basically, it leaves my music taste a bit of a mess, a bit of a mumble-jumble, crazy lot of music, just, yeah, everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. But shall we get into it? I hope you guys enjoy. And here is the first one. So the first one is an album I have reviewed on the channel before. And I've got it on vinyl. It came today. It's Rainbow Rising. I'm going to move that out of the way so you can see my head. Now, Rainbow Rising, it's an absolutely fantastic album. It was the first Rainbow album I heard in full. It's got that absolutely iconic album art at the front, and it made the whole Dungeons and Dragons scene popular. I mean, Judas Priest and I know other bands have really hailed the album as a fantastic album, and I think it's Ronnie Dio and Richie Blackmore at their best. It was the second Rainbow album, and Stargazer and Light in the Black, absolutely tremendous tracks. I think that Run with the Wolf, Starstruck, and what's the other one now? Run with the Wolf, Starstruck and Do You Close Your Eyes. A decent album, tracks, nothing really more than that. But Tarot Woman, the album opener, is fantastic as well. But an absolutely awesome album. I listened to it this morning when it come on vinyl, and oh, it was absolutely fantastic. And my favourite Rainbow album, and one that has really influenced me to be a lot more involved with hard rock and all that sort of good stuff that goes with that as well. So moving on to album 2 is another one I have on vinyl and one that also came this morning, and that is the classic Thin Lizzy album, Live and Dangerous. Oh, what an album this is. Absolutely fantastic. Starting with Jailbreak and going all the end. I think that, I can't remember what the last few tracks are, but it will be on the back of the cover. So it starts with Jailbreak, Emerald, Southbound and Rosalie, and ends with Suicide, Sha-La-La, Baby Drives Me Crazy and The Rocker. It's a double LP. I'll show you the track list there. I don't know if you can see it. Try and get it decently in focus. There you go. But it is based off the Jailbreak albums, Bad Reputation and Johnny the Fox. I don't think there's anything else on there. I think Are You Ready is a non-album track. Sha-La-La is from... There's a few early ones actually. There's Sha-La-La from Nightlife and The Rocker from Vagabonds of the Western World. There's a few earlier ones as well. But these were from the Johnny the Fox tour in 1976 and the Bad Reputation tour from 1977. And much like Kiss, and Kiss Alive was an album that I was very nearly going to put in the list. Much like Kiss Alive, it was an absolutely awesome live album, and I think that these two really dispute the list for being the top 2 live albums of all time. I really believe that because they're 2 absolutely fantastic albums. And Live and Dangerous, live albums are effectively a like greatest hits album, aren't they? And Live and Dangerous released in 1978. Questionable whether it's live or not, but it really influenced me once again onto the hard rock scene. I absolutely love Thin Lizzy's music as a result. So moving on to number 3, these are 2 of 3 albums that have been released this century. And the first one is on CD, a very big change from Rainbow and Thin Lizzy. But you guys who know that I'm a big Neil Diamond fan, this is Melody Road, released in 2014 by Neil Diamond. Absolutely fantastic album. I really enjoyed listening to this. It was my first Neil Diamond album I ever listened to. And a bit of context behind this. My dad's always been a Neil Diamond fan. He's been seen live. The whole family really like Neil Diamond, even up to my grandma and uncles and aunties. They all like Neil Diamond. And me and my sister saw 2 albums, and bear in mind I wasn't into either of these 2 artists when they come out, and both of these albums came out in 2014. The first one, Melody Road, Neil Diamond. The second one, The Endless River, Pink Floyd. Wasn't a Pink Floyd fan either then, but The Endless River isn't in this list, because actually I've never listened to the album. But those 2 albums I bought for my dad. I thought I'm going to give this Melody Road a try, and it was brilliant. I really enjoyed it. Some of the better tracks, Nothing But a Heartache, In Better Days, Do I Want to Be Yours. It's really just a well-rounded album. I'm not too keen on Songer and Jimmy, but apart from that, I mean, The Art of Love, Marry Me Now, it's just an absolutely fantastic honeymoon album. I love it. I really do. I think it's fantastic. Really well-rounded album. It's one I'm going to cover on the channel at some point. And yeah, it's the first Neil Diamond album I listened to, and after that I went and listened to the archives and loved pretty much everything of what I've seen from Neil Diamond, and yeah, great album. So moving on to number 4, again, another CD, and something that was released by a band that I suppose I'm not a big fan of, but this album was tremendous. Really enjoyed it. This is Progress by Take That from 2010. The first album that included Robbie Williams after he came back after a long break from the band, and also the last album to feature Jason Orange as well. But a fantastic track list as well. You know, the singles are great. The Flood, Kids was a great single as well. But some of the less known tracks, Underground Machine, What Do You Want From Me, Affirmation, 8 Letters, I mean, they're just all fantastic. And this was the first Take That album I listened to in full. And it's so unique as a Take That album because I did an album review for this, and if I've done any album reviews for these albums, I'm hopefully going to leave them as an annotation or in the end screen so you guys can go and watch those after this is finished. But I really just liked Progress. It was fantastic. It was almost Bowie-esque and uses some of the synth pop stuff from the 80s, and it's brilliant. I really think it's brilliant. And as somebody who likes something a little bit different, I thought that the Take That really branched out and showed they weren't just a typical boy band, and I thought that was absolutely fantastic. So on to the halfway stage then. At number 5, we've got a 1988 album of something again which might surprise you. Very different. Probably a lot of you guys haven't even heard of this band, but this is Johnny Hates Jazz, Turn Back the Clock from 1988, featuring the big single Shattered Dreams. Turn Back the Clock was another good single as well from the album, but I think it's again a really well-rounded album. And the story behind hearing this one is I'm a big Formula 1 fan. I love my Formula 1. Music and sport are what I love. I love music and I love sports. Snooker, Formula 1, football, cricket, golf, whatever. And I was watching a practice session for a Formula 1 race, and they were talking about bands they liked, artists they like, and Johnny Herbert, one of the pundits and former Formula 1 driver, was talking about Johnny Hates Jazz. And I thought, why not? Let's just give it a go. Listen to the first track, Shattered Dreams, and was just hooked from then. I know that a lot of people think, well, they're just a singles band, but I think it's genuinely a well-rounded album. I think that there are a few I'm not so keen on. Different Seasons and Foolish Heart I'm not too keen on. But apart from that, there's the track list. Shattered Dreams, Heart of Gold, Turn Back the Clock, Don't Say It's Love. I can't see this, so I'm challenging myself now. Listen, I Don't Want to Be a Hero, Different Seasons. What's the bloody other ones? Don't Let It End This Way, Foolish Heart, and what's the other one I'm missing? What other reason? Brilliant. I just think they're absolutely brilliant. I know that I've said that not all of these on the list are albums that I love, but the first 5 are. I think the first 5 are probably in my top 25 albums of all time. But I really think Johnny Hates Jazz, Turn Back the Clock is a great album. I've listened to a little bit of Tall Stories as well, which was their second album from 1991. The lead singer, Clark Datchell, had left by then. It was Phil Fornelli who wrote one of the songs for this album, who features on the 1991 album. And what I've heard I like, but I haven't quite listened to all of it yet. So now on to number 6, and this is where this comes in, but not actually the album that's on the t-shirt, and I'll explain that a little in a minute. Now, I've got this album on vinyl, I've got this album on CD, and I've even got the box set. So I'm going to show both the vinyl and the box set off, and I mean, you've got to guess it really. If it's not Dark Side of the Moon, it can only be one other. Pink Floyd, The Wall. Now, this is my favourite album of all time. Absolutely tremendous. I love The Wall. It's just absolutely tremendous. I know that a lot of people are not too keen on it. Here's the Immersion box set that I've got as well. 7 discs. I think this has got. It's got the Wall album. It's got the live Wall album, which is absolutely brilliant. I couldn't recommend anybody out there The Wall live enough. It's absolutely fantastic. But the original album, it's just absolutely tremendous. So I get the lyrics lists out. I mean, side 1, In the Flesh, The Thin Ice, Another Brick in the Wall Part 1, The Happiest Days of Our Lives, Another Brick in the Wall Part 2 and Mother. This is just impeccable. Absolutely impeccable. It tells a fantastic story of a rock star called Pink. A bit of a trivia note as well. That song there, What Shall We Do Now, wasn't actually in the final album because of restraints of the LP. It was Empty Spaces, the shorter version that was replaced by Young Lust, One of My Turns, Another Brick in the Wall Part 3, Don't Leave Me Now, Goodbye Cruel World. And there was talk of them leaving it there. So glad they didn't. And there was a second record, Is There Anybody Out There, Nobody Home, Vera, Bring the Boys Back Home, Comfortably Numb, Hey You. For some reason, Hey You is at the bottom. Goodness knows why that's the case. And then The Show Must Go On, In the Flesh Again, Run Like Hell, Waiting for the Worms Stop, The Trial Outside the Wall. I haven't done an album review for this, and I really should, because it's just tremendous. I know that it's not some people's cup of tea. This is a concept album, but it's one that once I listened to it once, about this time last year, I think, actually. Was it about this time last year? I think it was about February last year I first listened to The Wall. And for a good 2-3 months, that's all I listened to, because I just thought it was an absolutely tremendous album. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I loved Dark Side of the Moon as well. That's a brilliant Pink Floyd album. I don't think there's much to choose between Dark Side of the Moon, Wish You Were Here, Animals and The Wall, to be honest. They're all great albums, but I think The Wall... again, I love Dark Side of the Moon, but I just think The Wall has got something that Dark Side of the Moon hasn't. And yeah, I'm quite happy to play Dark Side of the Moon over and over and over, much like any of these 4 albums, but The Wall is my favourite out of those 4. Now, unfortunately, the next album I haven't got, and it's by one of my favourite bands, Kiss. Now, I was going to put Destroyer in this list as the one that influenced me, but I thought, no, I'm going to go for the first one I listened to, and that was, pardon me, their 2009 album, Sonic Boom. Now, this might be a surprise to quite a few of them. I'm going to put the album art, hopefully, in that corner, because I haven't got anything that's is a CD or a vinyl of it, but it's a good album. Not the best album in the world, certainly not the best Kiss album. But I really like Modern Day Delilah, Russian Roulette, I'm an Animal, When Lightning Strikes, All for the Glory, Never Enough. There's some great tracks on here, and actually Tommy Thayer sings on When Lightning Strikes. I think it's a great track. There's some really good tracks on here, and if you are a little bit old school Kiss and nothing else, I'd really recommend this album. I really enjoy it. It's not my favourite of them all. I think that all of the originals beat this, ultimately. Kiss, Hotter Than Hell, Dressed to Kill, Destroyer, Love Gun and Rock and Roll Over. These all beat Sonic Boom in terms of an album ranking, but it's a really it's a solid album, and I think it's more of back to that 70s era. I think the album that came after that, Monster, was a little bit poor, and the album that came before that, it was 11 years, by the way, between Psycho Circus and Sonic Boom, and ultimately, if they'd have stopped at Psycho Circus, I might not have got into Kiss. I remember very vaguely, we had a computer in the dining room, and I remember on iTunes back in 2009, there was a big banner at the top with the album artwork, Kiss, Sonic Boom, Listen Now, and I thought, ooh, I might have a listen to that. My dad, again, is a big fan of most of these, apart from Take That and Johnny Hates Jazz on the list, and he said, yeah, go for it, listen to it. I was a little 8-year-old lad at the time, and the year after we'd go and see the Sonic Boom Over Europe tour with Kiss, and I was hooked. We went to see Kiss again last year on the End of the Road tour. I love Kiss. I think Kiss are fantastic. But Sonic Boom was the first one I listened to, hence why I didn't put either Alive or Destroyer in there, but those definitely could have been albums that went in there as well. So that was number 7, Sonic Boom from 2009. Now, number 8, unfortunately, I don't own either, but I've got a bit of memorabilia for it. I only bought this last month, or maybe the month before. It was a classic rock magazine for AC/DC's Back in Black, 40 years on, a celebration, and would you believe it, you get an exclusive Have a Drink on Me bottle opener. There's Angus and Brian Johnson on the back cover, and if you really are interested, there's the Have a Drink on Me bottle opener, which isn't really any cop. I paid about £6, I think, for the magazine, which wasn't too bad. I haven't actually read it yet, but Back in Black, absolutely fantastic album. I've reviewed this on the channel. You would think, I wasn't alive at the time, but you would think after Bon Scott died, that's it for AC/DC. Highway to Hell, just as they were going up to the peak, it would all crash. But absolutely not. They hired former Geordie singer Brian Johnson, and it's their best work. I can only imagine being alive in 1980 and hearing Hell's Bells. Oh, yeah, absolutely fantastic. 2 of their best known tracks are on this album, Back in Black and You Shook Me All Night Long. They've also got Hell's Bells, Shoot to Thrill, Rock and Roll Ain't Noise Pollution. I think the two weak links, in my point of view, in this album are Have a Drink on Me and Shake a Leg, but still good tracks and absolutely fantastic. All tracks written by Angus Malcolm and Brian Johnson. Just the iconic album cover. I mean, how simplistic can you go? It was a tribute to Bon Scott. And hopefully, I'm really looking forward to that album that could be coming out. Obviously, because of this coronavirus pandemic, it might be a little bit delayed. But they are meant to be releasing an album in tribute to Malcolm Young. And if it's half as good as Back in Black, I really look forward to it. Back in Black from 1980, number 8. Now, for number 9, we go back to Neil Diamond, one of my favourite artists of all time. We go to his 1972 double live album. 2 live albums in this list. Hot August Night. Yeah. I think that outside of hard rock, this is the best live album of all time. I fully believe that. He's released quite a few live albums of his time, starting with Gold, then Hot August Night 2 and Hot August Night 3, among others. But this is just a tremendous track listing. The prologue is absolutely awesome. Crunchy Granola Sweet. Is it just say Crunchy Granola there? Never realised that. Just Crunchy Granola. It's a real good mix of his tracks that he released in the first 6-7 years of his career. Side 1 showing some of the early stuff. Solitary Man, Cherry Cherry Sweet Caroline, as well as Crunchy Granola Sweet and Done Too Soon from the few albums he released before it came out. Porcupine Pie from Moods, You're So Sweet from Brother Love's Travelling Salvation Show. But it's a really good compilation of what was released in the first 6-7 years of Neil Diamond's career, and it's just tremendous. Absolutely fantastic. And if you want any evidence of that, listen to the start, listen to Prologue and Crunchy Granola Sweet, and then listen to the end. I Said, Brother Love's Travelling Salvation Show, Suleiman, Holly Holy. Absolutely tremendous. Some of the live renditions on this album, I would argue, if I can get the bloody record back in its protective sleeve, some of the cuts on this album are Neil Diamond's best. Iconic album cover, recording concert at the Greek Theatre in Los Angeles. Absolutely tremendous. And then we've got another curveball, which, I mean, after all these albums, just show that my music taste is here, there and everywhere. This is probably, definitely, in fact, I would say, the least known of all of these 10 albums. But this is Charlie Rich, Behind Closed Doors. 2 well-known tracks on this album. The title track, Behind Closed Doors, written by Kenny somebody. What's his name? Oh, that's going to annoy me now. It's not on the back cover. Kenny Odell. Behind Closed Doors. And then The Most Beautiful Girl, the start of side 2, is also another fantastic single. But I really enjoy this album. It's a great country album. My dad's into... Again, a lot of the inspiration for these came from my parents. And certainly my dad's side. My dad, my nan, grandma really enjoy country stuff. I mean, he's tried to get me into John Denver, but that's just not going to work. But Charlie Rich, Behind Closed Doors, If You Wouldn't Be My Lady, You Never Really Wanted Me, A Sunday Kind of Woman, Peace on You, The Most Beautiful Girl, I Take It On Home, Till I Can't Take It Anymore, We Love Each Other, I'm Not Going Hungry Anymore, Nothing in the World to Do With Me, and the title track which comes first, Behind Closed Doors. All those tracks are recommended. Really cracking stuff. And those are the 10. So just go through them again. At the start, yeah, we'll show the albums again, why not? Even though it's going to be a pain in the backside for me to get them off the bottom. Right, album 1, Rainbow Rising from 1976 by Rainbow. What a cracker. Brilliant. Then we've got number 2, Live and Dangerous by Thin Lizzy. I knew this wasn't a good idea. Live and Dangerous by... In fact, scrap showing the album covers again. Number 1, Rainbow Rising. Number 2, Live and Dangerous by Thin Lizzy. Number 3, I can get the CDs a little bit easier. They're not as tricky to manhandle. Number 3, Melody Road, Neil Diamond. Number 4, Progress, Take That. Number 5, Johnny Hates Jazz, Turn Back the Clock. Number 6, Pink Floyd, The Wall. Number 7, Kiss, Sonic Boom. Number 8 is AC/DC, Back in Black. Number 9, Neil Diamond, Hot August Night. And number 10, Charlie Rich, Behind Closed Doors. So, if you guys have enjoyed that, I've really enjoyed that actually. I've gone on for a little bit longer than I expected, but hopefully you enjoyed all the same. And if you did, make sure to leave a like down below. Comment your top 10s. I really want to see what your top 10s are. Even better, if you're a content creator or somebody that's passionate about music that hasn't done a single YouTube video in their life, try it. Get a webcam. Use your phone. Use whatever. Just start recording and talk about 10 albums that you love. Because in these terrible times of coronavirus, we all need something to keep our minds active, and these 10 albums definitely will, among others. A few honourable mentions: Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, Pink Floyd Animals, Kiss, Destroyer, Kiss Alive. Just trying to think of any more. Judas Priest, British Steel. Rainbow, Difficult to Cure. Thin Lizzy, Black Rose, probably. Bryan Adams, Reckless. George Michael, Faith. I'm trying to think of any more now. I hadn't got them written down, hence why I can't think. There's going to be a few more that I'm sure I can think of, but if we go on for honourable mentions, we'll be here forever, won't we? But all the Kiss original albums as well. All of them. Absolutely fantastic. But yeah, those are my 10. I mean, on another day, I could have picked another 10. But those are the 10 albums. I mean, I guess I could do a Desert Island Discs at some point. That would be great to do as well. But I think I'm going to do a few more album reviews in the future, a few more top 10s. And if you want to see those, leave a like down below and subscribe to the channel for regular videos. And also, if you've got any recommendations, if you want to see album reviews of these 10 albums, or any album that might be by the same artist or similar to them, please leave them down in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. Keep safe during this terrible crisis, and keep the positivity up. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all later. Goodbye.